Welcome to Simple Kicking with your host, James Hairston.
Hey, everybody. Today we have a really special guest. It's Cairo Santos, the kicker for the Chicago Bears.
What's going on? Thanks for having me, man. It's been a pleasure staying in touch with you throughout the entire year. We met in the beginning of this whole journey for both of us, I think, in San Diego, where I was fighting to get my career back on track, and you were taking off with your ventures and with the Simple Kicking and a podcast. So we talked about getting on the podcast back then. So just happy to be here chatting with you today.
I remember distinctly talking to you at Carney's camp, and it was like, dude, I don't know if I'm ever going to play again.
Yeah, I mean, that's just kind of sometimes how the NFL is, when the teams flip your page, and move on from you, scouting you and all that because of your age or your results, performance. I was afraid that my last game with the Titans in 2019, before the pandemic hit and NFL teams weren't working out guys, and it was going to take a huge hit on me coming back onto the NFL. And then, thankfully, I think that Carney's camp was a great door for a lot of guys to get seen right when the NFL allowed workouts again. So a lot of thanks to him for throwing that on, and that's the opportunity that I was just hoping for ever since that last game with the Titans. It was a long time just waiting for that one opportunity to come, and I knew it was going to just take one opportunity for me to get back onto it. That's just the level of focus and determination that I was just willing to take advantage of that one opportunity, and I got picked up by the Bears a couple weeks later, and the rest just kind of took care of itself.
Dude, so when you say you fought back, you also were bouncing around the NFL. Kind of share your story about what it's been like in the NFL over the last couple of years.
Right. It's been the most difficult was, feeling that you're the guy in Kansas City when I was a 4-year starter there, and talking contract extensions and hadn't missed a kick. They were writing articles at training camp that I was perfect in training camp, and we were about to have the first preseason game, and having contract talks, and everything was good. And it was a rainy day. It got cold, like in the 50s in training camp in Missouri. And I had to kick a lot of balls that day, kickoffs, and I just felt the groin just kind of get worn out because of the heavy balls and the weather, and I felt a pop, and after that, things took a while to get back to normal. They released me, so I rehab, got back on with the Bears, and then 2 weeks later, thought I was good, and 2 games later with the Bears, I re-injured. And had to get surgery. So that in itself, with the many scars that I've had in that one area, it just took 2 years to really feel like I had my full power and trust again. But in that 2 years, I was bouncing from teams, just kind of trying to endure the pain, endure the swing changes that I had to do, the kind of limitations that I felt my leg just wasn't firing at the same power, and your performance decline, and you just can't hold. You never know when your last opportunity is going to be in the NFL. So and also it's hard to say no to opportunities when they come, even though you're not physically 100%. You can swallow a lot of pain to just have that one opportunity. So that's kind of what happened, and I didn't get lucky with the timing. Had a few head coaches changes in those teams that I was with, and wasn't brought back. So that's kind of how things played out, and thankfully this year was that a special one that I was dreaming about, just to have that a home again.
When you're hurt, it's not like these GMs or these special teams coaches are calling in to check in on old Cairo. Hey, buddy, how's it going?
When you get the call, you just have to be ready. You have to show that you're ready. So I think any time that you're second guessing how well you're feeling or hitting the ball. I think that that's maybe just one last chance that you might get the call to be brought in for a workout or starting to compete for a job. So I think you just have to just show up and give your best. I think, I'm not saying you play hurt or anything like that. It's you your body more than anybody. So if you feel like you're ready, and I had opportunities to go to the Bucks after that season with that I got let go by KC. Go to the Bucks, go to the Bears were calling, but I didn't feel like I was ready, and I waited until I felt like, okay, I'm kicking and not getting sore. I'm ready to go. But then 2 weeks later, I wasn't as ready as I thought. So, but I had to take the opportunity. I think I wasn't as established as a guy that I can sit out a whole year and then come back, and now teams will be begging for me. And it's hard to take that stance in the NFL. I mean, you have to just be around the loop in the circle to keep getting invited back in the circle.
This is Cairo Santos. He is the first Brazilian to ever play in the NFL.
Yeah, that's what I didn't really know that until I came out of Tulane and the Chiefs signed me as an undrafted guy to compete with Ryan Suckup. And I know there had been some Brazilians like Michael Bonani. I think he was a kicker for U.S. South Florida. The Brazilian that played for the Titans a couple preseason games, and I didn't. When I made it, when I kind of made it with the Chiefs, things are starting to kind of blow up in Brazil, and I had a lot of fun going back there doing camps and TV shows, and just I think being influenced to a lot of, and actually Brazil is football is very popular in Brazil in an amateur level, semi-pro level, and how they consume the NFL too, watching, coming to games and that stuff. So I think my name had a big influence in how football got popular in Brazil, and it's continued to grow. And I hope to be. I think it should be like how. You're a punter. You saw like how the Australians were coming and dominating the position here in the States in college, NFL. So I think Brazil should be that feeder for kicking. I mean, there's guys that I played soccer with back before I even knew about football that I knew had a way stronger leg than I did. So imagine if they got the opportunity that I got, the journey that I had to make it. So it'd be fun to see like a Roberto Carlos, his massive quads kick a ball. I mean, I think there could be some special there.
The reason I bring that up is you are so incredibly rare, and the impact that you've made on growing our game and growing kicking. I'm looking at a DM here. That's why I was looking over to my left. Here's a guy that's DMing me from Florianopolis Island in Santa Catarina State. And he said, Cairo came to a camp in 2019 and motivated me to start kicking.
Man, and that's so I grew up playing soccer my entire life, and my idols were Ronaldinho, Ronaldo, Neymar, and there's a lot of kids in Brazil that view me as that type of idol, and to me that's mind blowing, because I don't view myself. I'm still chasing my dreams, especially for the last couple of years. It's still, but I always did camps every year. I did camps in Brazil, or even if I wasn't kicking with the kids, I was just there talking and sharing my experiences. And there was like 350 kids showing up every year. I mean, there was just we get like thousands of emails. Like I didn't even know that many people played football there, but I've been told that a lot of guys, because of me and because of just soccer, really, it gave them that opportunity to play a sport in the highest level that they can reach. It's special to hear that, and I feel like I have an important role to keep holding myself accountable for, and that's to keep growing and keep maybe change kids' lives through the same journey that changed my life.
Talked earlier about the injury. We talked about getting cut. I've got a point that I want to bring up here of a kick that you and I had talked about when you were at Tennessee.
Yeah, against the Bills, a 50-yarder, and it poured the entire warm-up. Or it kind of had flashbacks on that one, rainy day in Kansas City, and I'm just trying to warm up and it's just pouring rain. You're kicking wet balls. So I think you can get in kind of a out of rhythm. You're trying to overswing on a heavy ball, and I think I was feeling a draw that game. It wasn't really a ball flying up. The ball was just drawing off my foot, and it was just like, man, let me try to stay with it. And it just wasn't a good day. And my operation was all good, and it was just one of those days that the rhythm is off. And it's been a long time since I felt exactly like that 53 yards. Something that I was not seeing my ball draw that much, especially that as of late I've been putting more of a straight or more of a fade ball. So yeah, it was just like a day that okay, just gonna have to be tough mentally to overcome this. And the long opportunities, it's hard to keep the confidence when you're not really sure what the swing is going to be the same thing that you've done over the several years. So you just kind of have to keep fighting. And at the end of that day, I was still confident that I could play the next 10 games and not miss a kick. It's just how kicking is. There's days this year that I've had 20, the Vikings game's an example that we're playing indoors. It's like week 15 or something. I had made 22 kicks in a row. And pregame warmups, I don't know if just because I was so pumped up to be indoors after several cold games in Chicago, cold weeks of in Chicago. And the ball, I was just over kicking balls too and missing kicks indoors. I'm like, reset. Went back in the locker room, watched some film, and re-warmed up again, something I never do. Is the team's, it's almost kickoff time, and I'm re-warming up again and didn't miss a kick during that warm-up and had my best game of the season. Went 4 for 4, 2 huge kicks in the fourth quarter to kind of clinch the game. Long kick too, and that's how it is. You just have to keep fighting no matter how hard the adversity is. You just have to believe that you've got the skill, you've got the mental toughness, and just keep punching at it.
So I want to pull up your chart from that game that you're talking about in Minnesota, because you're telling me that you actually had to re-warm up because you weren't striking the ball like you wanted to.
It was puzzling. It was like I'm going through my regular routine to warm up, and it's just like balls are flying straight, but like I'm missing a little bit outside the left upright, a little bit outside right, just kind of not hitting the right starting angle. And I remember I got up during my warm up, I got far, I was kicking 60 pluses pretty quick into my warm up just because it's indoor. You make 1 or 2 from 45, 50, and then you see the ball just flying far and straight, and then you're I just kind of got too excited, I think, there, and maybe kicking the long kicks, I got into over kicking, and then the short ones were missing. So I was like, I'm not going to hit a set anymore. I'm going back in the locker room, just kind of restart things. In my head was almost hitting a reset button after I watched some film, and then came back and I hit, I think, 12 more balls in my re-warm up, made every single ball, and then went 4 for 4 in the game. And so that was just kind of how you have to approach it sometimes.
Dude, you're a total realist. In that game, you had 4 degrees of precision making all of your kicks down the pro posts.
Yeah, it was, and yeah, exactly. Like the ball flights, and how I was making kicks too. It was all down the middle. It was just like, you can't let what you don't see from like ball after ball affect how you visualize how you're going to see the next ball. It's like, because I was missing kicks in the way that I normally didn't do the weeks before, leading up to that, I was like, okay, I just have to just keep punching at it, and I'm still going to continue to visualize what's me, what's my kick, my A ball, and things can just kind of re-click again. So kicking, man, it's, especially in Chicago, especially in the winds that we deal with, you have to respect it, respect the craft, and just understand that the work needs to be put every single day, no matter your percentage in your career, how well you're kicking, the streaks you have. Kicking such a craft that work needs to be done to continue. It's your body. It's talking steps, talking wind, talking snap and hold. I think I appreciate that grind that Chicago has made me, and I wasn't getting overly confident or down on myself, after the roller coasters that you experience, but just was willing to just be locked in every single day, practice or game, and just keep grinding.
This is Cairo Santos. He's the kicker at the Chicago Bears. Here's a guy that we just showed a clip of him as upset as you possibly can be. But it was one of those days, and you had the guts, the intestinal fortitude, as some people say, to just shake it off. And shaking it off is not just a 1 second, thing that happens. I mean, this was a process of you learning how to commit to the grind. So let's fast forward real quick, and I'm going to share another screen real quick with you to show you, and that's the listener out there, just how good Cairo was this season. Cairo, we're looking at your stats. This is halfway through the season. What was that like?
That you have to have, especially I think in Chicago, that I was just worried, like taking one day at a time and one game, and just worrying about that week, just being locked in and just grinding through to make kicks. But what I think stood out to me was like how well I was making those kicks. We'll see a lot of those green dots and right down the middle, and we actually have the pro posts at the practice facility with the Chicago Bears. So I use those to warm up every day, and when I'm making or hitting my kicks in the field goal set with the team, I judge of like, oh man, like a good day. I 8 of my 10 kicks went down the pro post. That. So I kind of started judging the good days. For the not as good, if I went 10 for 10 on my field goal set, was by how in the center I was kicking, and I started to aim at the center, and it's serious because you sent me that halfway through the season. You texted that to me, and I had no idea that I was that precise, and then it became a little competition with myself to I was making kicks in the games, thinking that like, oh, that was down the middle, like that adds to my down the middle inside the pro post chart, so that my precision is going to come down. So I started to be more locked in to making kicks in the middle. And in my mind, like as I was aiming the kick, and I visualize now the pro post, in my head, and like where I need to start. Like sometimes a right to left when I talk to O'Donnell, my holder, right skinny, or left skinny, and we've started to visualize those posts and try to put them through. And I think it gives you a lot of confidence when you're starting to do that during practice to that aim small, miss small mentality is gonna you got a lot more room to miss than when you locked in than just the pro post. So it was really cool, man. I'm so glad that you sent me that, because I think it helped me take my my grind level to another level there, trying to make kicks down the middle.
You got that text, you looked at it, and there was a lot more green, meaning balls that were down the center of the pro post, than you expected. And then the second half of the season, you kept it going. In fact, dude, you had the same amount of precision. So I'm going to pull up this next chart. But as you look at this chart, it sounds like the pro post gave you visuals during the game, and then the Simple Kicking app kind of gave you some visuals that you said, wow, like this is really how I'm doing.
Exactly. Yeah. The pros out there, it gives you something to aim, something to visualize. And when you add it to the paper and get the numbers, it just gives you a confirmation of how well you're improving too. Because like I said, I use those in practice, and it was 9 out of 10, but all those 9 balls were down the middle, versus a 10 out of 10 kick where I've got 3 balls, 4 balls in that blue outside the post. I'll take the 9 out of 10 because that's a guy I want to be, the same guy over and over again, and not spray balls, even though they're going in. So that when you add that visual with the confirmation in the charts, I think you can learn so much about yourself and how well your work is being produced. So yeah, man, I was pumped and I was in the games just like competing with myself. It was like, yeah, my precision is going to come down. Yeah. And I just wanted to keep going.
And so during the game, you took those visuals that you had at Hallis Hall, you go out onto a Sunday night or Monday night game. You had a wild card playoff game down in New Orleans, and you're thinking, I'm going to make sure my precision is right down the pro post. How freaking cool is that, man?
And I was actually disappointed because so I kicked in that game in the playoffs. I made a 31-yarder right down the middle. I was like, man, that was awesome. And then the second one, I kind of pulled it a little bit and I put it inside the left upright. And I was like, oh, that's I wasn't good enough. It was, to me, it was like, man, that wasn't a good kick. I made the kick. It was a playoff game. Made the kick, but it was like, it was just not happy with that. So that's how I'm starting to be expect of myself is balls just need to go down the middle because that's what I produce week in, week out, and that's what I plan on producing.
It's fun. It sounds like it made it kicking more fun for you.
Yeah, and you know what too? So O'Donnell, even though he's a punter, he doesn't get to really use the pro post. But as a holder, we speak the same language when we're talking. Like when I'm aiming, looking at this chart that you have it on screen, if it's a left or right wind, depending how hard the wind is, I might tell him left skinny, and he knows exactly where to aim. Or I might tell him split the left skinny and the left upright, and that's like where that blue is, that one blue kick there, and that's kind of, and he aims those laces for me there to kind of get started. So even though he doesn't use that kick to or the pro post to work on his punting craft, but he understands exactly what I'm talking about when we don't have the pro post out there at Soldier Field during game days. When I say left skinny, he knows exactly where to put it. When I say just outside the left skinny, he knows exactly where to put it. So that's just something that I think having that tool in your practice field and the knowledge from your holder, it's another advantage that you can take when even though you're looking at the 18-foot wide post, really you're aiming at something that's not there, but in your head it's drawn out there. The pro posts are drawn out in my visuals when I'm looking at the goalposts on Sundays.
All right, dude. So this next graph is called wins above replacement. The basis of this says, okay, if a kicker has a 50% chance to make a 50-yard field goal, then 50% of 3 points is 1.5 points. That's what is expected. So basically I did this for every single kicker in the entire NFL for the 2020 NFL season. And there was 45 kickers that were in the NFL that had either a field goal attempt or a PAT. And what this shows is that you performed 2 games above a replacement kicker. Let me be clear about that. If the Chicago Bears went to go get some random replacement kicker, guy off the street, just like they got you off the street, you are worth 2 wins above a replacement kicker. And to make this really, really simple, you performed about 14 points better than the NFL average. You scored 14 more points than the average NFL kicker if they had the same amount of field goal reps and PAT reps as you had during the season. Dude, you score a lot of points, and those points turn into wins, and the amount of wins that Cairo's right foot is worth for the Chicago Bears in 2020 was 2 games.
Wow, that's awesome. I mean, that I've never seen that type of analysis correlate to how it can affect, winning versus losing. Obviously, we see, game-winning kicks and all that, but that's really based on that one chance that you have at the end of the game to make or lose it. But your entire core of production throughout the entire season, how that translated into, I think 2 wins is huge. Teams, every win is a huge celebration. So it makes me pumped up that my entire body of work was equivalent to two wins of the I think nine wins we had this year, or 8. So that's awesome. I mean, a lot of hard work gets put into to be recognized, especially with the names that you see on that list. I mean, those guys balled out this year, and it makes you really proud to be next to those names.
Cairo Santos, this time last year, getting over an injury, bouncing around the NFL. How is Younghoe Koo totally unemployed, not even looked at? And same thing with Nick Folk. He was just kind of a veteran leg, and here you guys, you 3, this is totally rare.
Yeah, I think you can even add a little bit of Jason. I used to train with him down here when I live in Jacksonville, Florida, when he was playing for the Jags, and he's a tremendous kicker, even at the time. But his numbers, weren't up to NFL standards. I think, when you look at the guys that are performing at a high level, he gets let go and then gets picked up by the Jets, Pro Bowl year. And guy just had the most impressive season in the NFL I've ever seen, to do what he did this year. I think he was 100%, I think 26 attempts or something, streak of like 30-plus kicks made. So even including him, Gano was a guy that got injured and gets picked up by the Giants and could have been a Pro Bowler this year too. And I think there's something to like fighting for another chance. When it's your dream to enter the NFL, then to be established in the NFL, because I think it's harder to stay than to make it. And then when you get sort of your plans falling short of your potential that you believe in yourself, it sparks a fire, I think, to compete again, to get back into that journey that you were in to enter the NFL in the first place. So to do it twice, I think you come in that second time with a level of confidence, mental toughness. You're a better product of yourself because of those tough times and with injuries, with performances, the guys that I think get second chances. I mean, I think you're getting a better kicker. I think guys deserve opportunities. Not it can't just be. I think there are many kickers that are not in the league right now. If they got another chance, I wouldn't be surprised if they get into that list that we just saw. I think Cody is a guy that I admire a lot, and he just kicked phenomenally for the Browns, and that's a tough place to kick. So that he's another example that you can throw in that mix, and a guy that was bouncing around too the last couple of years. So yeah, I think that's I love to see those stories. That when you get the second version of yourself, it's kind of like I play a lot of golf, and then many kickers I think do enjoy golfing too. And how many times you miss a putt and then you get another chance, and that second guy is like 95%. You just learn, from a mistake. You learn, and you got better, and you able to perform better. So I think there's no coincidence that you see that many cases in that list. And I'm a big fan of all of them for what they've done and inspiring me to get in there too.
So you brought up something which was it's harder to stay in the NFL than make it.
Yeah, I believe in that, and I heard that when I was going through the process of making it in a couple of years. I remember I started off with the Chiefs with a good rookie year, and my special teams coach, Dave Tobe, who I think was one of the most respected in the league, and a guy that pushed me really hard to be a better version of myself every year. He would tell me every offseason, exit meetings, I'm getting a guy to beat you out. Every year I was like, I would break records. I'm getting a guy to beat you out. And I would come in April for OTAs, not the draft, hadn't happened yet, but I would be the only guy that when I get there in OTAs and then just kicking lights out. And then he would tell me, I didn't think I needed to get a guy. They never brought in a guy to compete with me when I was there. So, but he would tell me every offseason that he was going to. And it got to a point that I remember he told me, what, guys, when agents told me this year that nobody wants to come here compete with you because it's a tough place to kick, it's cold, and, how are you kicking? So that's a testament to, your product. And then I got hurt, and then I'm finding myself fighting to get back to something that I worked, year after year, ready to compete for another job. Here I was, as a free agent, just ready to enter that mode of compete for another job, and that's because I was ready. Year 2, year 3, 4, even though I didn't have to, because my coach told me they wanted to find a guy to beat me out. So that's how the NFL is, and if you don't produce, if you get expensive, teams would love to find a cheaper version of you. And there's a lot of guys out there that can do it. We know that. So every year, man, and a lot of the vets understand that and appreciative of still being around. I'm entering year 8. That's unreal to believe that my journey that I approach year after year has led to an 8 or 7 year career. So it's a blessing, and to be in this circle, it's truly a privilege that a lot of people want to get a taste of this, and we're fortunate to be the ones to be in it.
Yeah, dude, but you've worked really, really hard. It's not, I'm going to pull up this video from Carney's camp this summer. I remember going up to you, just hearing that sound. I'm a kicking nerd, and I'm just looking at this guy, and I'm like, dude, don't give up. Like, I saw in your eyes in our conversation, it was just like, dude, this is a grind, and I understand you're talking about it being a privilege, being one of the 32, but when I look back at this moment and the conversation that we had, there was a little glimmer of of hope that you had in yourself. And I remember, you're kind of at a crossroads, like, hey, I got, my family situation's changing with, having a new one on the way, and you didn't give up. Why didn't you give up, dude? Like, there was something in this kick at this day that said, I'm not giving up. What was it?
It's faith. I think faith, it plays a big part in that I didn't believe that my I guess book, my fate was over. I didn't get here from Brazil to being the first Brazilian-born player to end on a bad day in Tennessee. Like, it didn't. No way I was going to allow myself to finish, this amazing chapter that has given me so much in my life, that I'm still in love with the process. I wasn't going to give it another shot. And I told everyone close to me that it was just going to take one opportunity to be back in there. That's the mentality that I was going to be ready. And it was a long year because from, I think it was November or October when I got released by the Titans. And then that was August, I think, end of July, that camp from Carney. It was in July. One of those. It was a long road of just going to the field by yourself with a sour taste in your mouth. They just couldn't wait to get a chance to get that out, out of your system. But you weren't getting opportunities. Opportunities weren't even being given to anybody because of COVID. And when Carney sent me that email, and what the opportunity was going to be in front of a team again, it was that one. It was that one that you've been hoping for and chasing after, dreaming about. And at the time, my wife was, I think, 6 months pregnant. It was like the last month before she could travel. And I took her with me. It's like, hey, you're coming with me to San Diego. We're going to make a last vacation out of it too. And went and kicked really well. I was really pumped up how I was able to perform in front of such a amazing group of kickers. There's a lot of talent. And also, I was fortunate to, when I entered the NFL, to not have to go through another one of those combines and workouts with several kickers to get back into the league, because those are tough. I mean, it's hard to stand out when there's so many big legs, guys that are just as good as you and that want your job, breathing on your neck. And it's like, you're walking around and, dude, you can really kick the NFL. I mean, I'm no different than you, but you have to go in there and just show that, why you're the one that got the call. The ball flight, you got to be precise, the level, the way you kind of carry yourself. And I think teams are paying attention to all that. So it was an opportunity for me to just really I respect this grind of these guys are putting through, and I'm going to take this part of my experience now, trying to get back into it, seeing these guys train hard, even harder than you, because, when you're in season, kicking a lot, you're not working out, getting stronger the same way that these guys are doing. So if you're not getting ahead of yourself or if you're not performing, even bigger, guys are getting better there to take your job. So I took all that experience with me to make that version of myself to when I got that opportunity, and he came with the Bears to just be a COVID guy, be a short-term guy, because Eddie was recovering from an injury. I was, if I'm here for 3 games, those are the 3 games that I want, and I'm going to make the best of it to get back into as a starting kicker in the NFL, and ended up getting the whole season and re-signed. So I'm just can't wait for not take my entire foot off the throttle the pedal and just keep making more moments like this.
From now on, it doesn't count unless it goes to the pro posts. So we have to elevate your standard of what is good versus no good. So from now on, when I watch a game, I'm going to have a little thing on my head that says Cairo is not going to be happy unless it splits the pro posts.
And you know what I did? I started kicking last week, really. And I went to a high school field. And, we got this wide goalpost. I mean, it's like it's even embarrassing to think that, I'm missing a kick in that wide goalpost. And to me, it was just like, I don't want to have this visual. So next time I kick, I went to my neighborhood, has a soccer field with a bunch of trees in a background. So I aimed at 2 trees that kind of, they're very tall, almost like palm trees. They're probably as skinny as the pro post. And that's where I kicked. And that's where I kicked last few times. And I think that's a better practice. I think I'm too used now to aiming small, and it feels much better when they go through those trees than the high school post. So maybe I need to get some shipped to Jacksonville to put on those soccer fields, and that's the only way to do it now.
Well, good news. I am developing a new product that is on the ground, and you can put it in the back of a pickup truck. So stay tuned for that.
I'll be the first one to try if you need testers.
I love this question, and I've never asked an NFL guy this, but what do you do for fun in practice? Do you guys have any games that you guys play? There's been some games that others have told me about, like punt golf. I mean, the NFL seems very, serious, and it's a business. But is there anything you guys do for fun up there in Chicago?
No, not that much fun, because I think we just like to do our work when we're at practice, and then thankfully Coach Tabor, our special teams coach, he lets us go in the weight room and just get a workout in during practice or stretch and get off our feet. We do like to, all 3 of us, we like to golf, so we kind of play the video games and golfing and the games that you have on your phone, and so I think we spend more time I think just enjoying each other, laughing, sharing stories, and then physical fun. And when we do have the time now, when I got there, they were pretty much at the end of training camp, so I think they were exhausted, and we just entered the season. So we did get to play real golf a few times, and it was a blast. But I think it's we do have a little game that we try to we don't want to have too much fun. If the guys are getting serious in practice, it's kind of a sneaky game. It can be sneaky. You are sneaky stealth, but it's like you stand 10 yards apart. It's kind of like shuffleboard. You start with a ball like on a line, kind of rolling sideways, and you just roll it like a barrel, and you can't cross the other 10-yard line where the other guy's standing from. You want to aim for the 9.5. So you play best of 10, and whoever got closer to the 10-yard without going over won. So it's a little show kicking, maybe you can call it. That's the only one that we can afford to play. But in college, we did play kicking golf. You pick a target like across the field, you make it a par 4 or something, and you have to hit that target by either punting or kicking. But in college, the college fun days are over. This is real job.
Yeah, this is grown up stuff. We're adults now.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so walk me through what this was like to kick a game winner against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who ended up winning the Super Bowl.
So I think the 2 things that stood out to me during that moment was something I got to witness in person many times, was a former kicker beating their former team. So Suck Up did that with the Titans against the Chiefs. I saw Robbie Gould do that with the 49ers against the Bears. Matt Bryant do it with the Falcons against the Bucks. And I just think there's a level of like performance, being the guy to like, kind of put that dagger. That's cool to enjoy, and being a part of it, something I've always wanted to do. With the Bucks, I thought I kicked really well in training camp. They did draft Matt Gay, a kicker that was super talented, powerful, that just had a really great finish with the Rams and is going to be kicking for a long time. Buddy of mine. So it was like, but it was the opportunity to like, show a team that cut you, just kind of give them, one loss. It was a feeling that I was hoping to do. So I was praying for that opportunity in that game. It was such a tight game, and I got a chance to hit a 47 earlier, and here it is, a game winner. And what was so curious though with this year, not having fans, was that you could hear so much more that you normally don't with the players, chirping on the line. The sideline was over here to my right behind O'Donnell, and you hear a lot of things being yelled at you that when it's quiet that you don't normally hear. So after I made the 47, it was really a pressure kick. It was I think late in the fourth quarter too, or beginning of the fourth quarter, and I heard those things when I was kicking, and I made the kick, and then I went to the sideline, and in preparation for this kick right here, as I was warming up in the net, I told O'Donnell and Scales, like, hey, as I'm kicking the net here, lining up, going through my routine, and can you just like scream random stuff like, at me, Cairo, you suck, or you're gonna miss it, just whatever, like, be funny, or just try to distract me. And I hit like 3 balls in the net with them doing that. I mean, they weren't really screaming, or just kind of trying to distract me. So when I got to the 38-yarder, I had already prepared something that I was expecting to get in with the game winner, and here I go, and I have the same routine, how I run onto the field, how I pick out my target, talk to my holder, and that was just something that prepared me for that moment even more. Kind of adjust, like to deal with the pressure and deal with the chirping and the added noise, and to come through with it was something that was really another thing. Actually, I forgot. So a third point was that game was week 5 of 2020 season. When I got cut from the Titans in 2019, that was also week 5. So it was a whole year, anniversary, if you will, of I think the lowest point in my career performance-wise to I'd say one of the highest, to do it in Thursday night against the team that ended up winning the Super Bowl, Tom Brady, former team. That's a level of like, and I knew it. Here comes the faith, that God was doing something with me, to put me through that, and then a year later to kind of have that opportunity to tell myself that, like, this is where you belong, and this is where you're gonna be. So that was really a turning point in my life, to go through the lowest to the highest.
I went from my lowest point to my highest, and you still have a lot more to go, because like we said, now you've got visuals, now you've got kind of a game within the game, now you have more maturity, you've overcome a lot more conflict since then, you're now a different version of yourself. I mean, what does this sound like in Brazilian? I mean, in English, it's quite profound.
Determinação, determination. I think it's faith. That you belong, and this is what's your journey. and really, that's, I think, the only two that I can think of. That the two tools that I use to strengthen me to do all that. So, but there's a lot more. I think when you're are given an opportunity to kick again for a franchise for 3 more years, in that faith in your work, I think I hold myself accountable to that in the level that I want to give those returns to the club. If it's 2 more wins a year, I want to make it 3. I want to keep beating myself and beating other people's expectations, because I put a lot of work to always improve and always achieve great things.
Incredible. What an incredible story. Well, this is Cairo Santos, everybody. Dude, thank you so much for joining. And this will not be the last time we talk. I'm sincerely grateful, and our friendship is something that happened by, total accident, because I just went out there to go kick for fun and, chart the camp for Carneys. And, now here we are, both, getting our careers on the directions that, we want them to be on, and at the same time doing it with a lot of determination and faith that this is what we're supposed to be doing.
Absolutely. I was a big fan of yours, as a person, after we talked, and learned some dad tips too from you and your wife and daughter. So, I mean, yeah, it won't be the last, man. You're someone that I'll be rooting for and I'll be a customer. I'll continue to use the app and the pro posts, and because it's only helped me, and if I can do the same to see something that I believe 100% works, count me in, because it's a tool that elevated my game.
Well, dude, it's funny you talk about all this to bring this full circle. I had Thomas Morstead on. He's the punter. He was the punter for the New Orleans Saints. And your story definitely strikes me like this: what you give will grow, and what you keep will die. And I just wonder that by you going to Santa Catarina, Brazil, going to no-name places in the globe, in that country where no American would ever think about, and you going down there to give of yourself, to teach others, to inspire another generation, look what's happened, for you in return. You learn how to deal with adversity. But maybe it's true. Maybe what you give will grow, and you are one of those guys that has definitely given.
Yeah, I think faith teaches you a lot, to give, and it's really, nothing is ours. It was given. We're given the opportunity to take our lives to this, and I think who knows when our last day here and on Earth is. So the impact that you leave behind, I think you can't wait to or keep that away from people that you can change. And I think that something that I was able to share a lot, it was that football is not just about making to the NFL. When you learn about the game and the opportunities in high school or in Brazil, and getting a chance to I've met kickers that have taken that same journey after hearing about mine, that are currently going through high school in the States. A few have gone through college already, because I say, it's an opportunity to change your life. You can get a scholarship to get a better education that you never would have dreamed of. Maybe meet some people that will help you later in life in some other aspect. Maybe you will get a chance to play in the NFL. But I think football has a way of opening doors for you in many aspects, and that I think it's really not just about making a career of. It's about growing as a person. And we know about the you play football yourself, in college, and the values that you learn, in the character and the lessons that you're taught in the losses and the wins and the just respecting the game, the life that it is to compete in this sport. I think you leave when you're whatever it is, if it's just in college or if football got you a scholarship you really just wanted to be a doctor, to open your business, but football got you there. That's how you should approach it. It's a door that is just waiting for you, and just go through every hurdle that you can to go open it. Because it's something that I was able to share a lot, and seeing kids take that route, and some are the best kicker in Brazil right now. Brazil has an amateur or semi-pro league, and kickers are having an opportunity to make a career out of it, even if it's just not as lucrative as it is as soccer players down there in Brazil. But that's their dream, and they're living it because something that I was able to, because of my journey and my story, is to share that and help them open those doors. So I'll continue to do that, because that's something that very fulfilling to be able to have that as you go with your journey.
Fulfillment, finding the right door, determination, faith, not giving up. I mean, and here we are talking about kicking. So much fun. Cairo Santos, everybody. He's the kicker for the Chicago Bears. Thank you so much for joining. Dude, I'm so incredibly proud of you. Congratulations on being a new dad. And, you just know that I've got fatherhood all figured out, so you know who to get some fatherly advice from. Totally kidding.
None of us do. No, it's all our wives.
That's right. The best piece of fatherhood advice is find the right wife.
That's right. Well, enjoyed it, man. Wish you all the best, and to all the listeners, thank you for listening to my story, and go Bears.
Go Bears. And if you haven't already, make sure to follow Cairo. He is on Instagram. His handle is C Santos 19, I believe. Is that right, Cairo? C Santos 19?
That's right.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, thank you so much, dude. This was fun.
If you enjoyed the content, man, drop a like, comment, or even subscribe. It would be really cool to hear from you. Also, you can find Simple Kicking on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and even TikTok.